You are now tuned into Somewhere in the Middle with Sunni and Mo.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, Don on the beat.
Hey, I got so many ups.
Everywhere I go, I
got so many ups.
so many ups.
I know they plotting against me. I know it's hate, they wanna kill me, but please don't tempt me, cause I got so many glocks. Hey, ain't none of them empty. Jesus said they would hate me too. That's how I know it's envy. I got so many ups.
I fucked up. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Sorry, I was supposed to do the intro before the intro, and it's been a minute since we've done this, and I just got excited and hit our old intro, and yeah, so here we are.
What's
welcome,
up, guys?
welcome. We surprised you guys, I'm sure, with a
Yeah.
pop-up.
We didn't even
popping
plan to
up.
do this. I'm
Yeah.
not even supposed to be live right now. As you guys can see, I'm not in my normal setup because I have moved
She has moved.
back in the States. I have to do this like kind of impromptu live in the middle of my living room with my entire house live. So if you hear background noise, it's my family. Don't be like, what's going on? And if it
Yeah.
gets to be too much, of course I'll mute because this is a very important day. How long have you guys waited for this moment? I feel like this is like the what do you call it? Like the main event. We're finally here and we get to see Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debate.
Yeah. It was a perfect intro back into the live stratosphere.
Come back and
What's
host
up?
a
What's
debate.
up, Liddell?
What's up? How you doing? It's a long time
Hello,
no
there,
see.
Eden, too. What you munching on?
Off Tic Tacs.
Okay, wait, let's see.
Thanks.
Wait, let's take a vote. Let's take a vote. Who has got
Okay.
the best snacks? Okay, so Liddell said he's got his Tic Tacs. Okay, Sunni, what is that? What is that? Microwave popcorn? Okay, this is my snack right here.
What's the best one? She
Listen,
got hummus.
I got
Bruh.
hummus. I have just cut up veggies, some fruit. Yeah, listen, I don't come to play. These debates make me hungry. My body is going to hate me for eating all these vegetables. I'm not like a regular person. My body likes meat, not vegetables, but obviously I can't sit here and chew a steak with you guys. So
Listen. Somebody said my new setup is lit. You know, you guys are used to those Twitch people that come on lives in the middle of their living room. I just need the chat to pop in. Wait, the chat needs to just pop in on my screen over here.
yeah,
Mo,
no, I think
Mo Wins.
people are just nosy and they like the fact that they can check out
See
more
a
of
part
what.
of my house, right?
Yeah, that's probably more what it
I
is.
see. I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't have celery. I have dill. I don't have dill dip, Judy. I have ranch and hummus.
Stop talking about your veggie platter. I want a veggie platter.
This veggie pattern, great thing.
I made my daughter. I said, "Can you go look in the refrigerator and see if there's some carrots?"
Sweetie she's trying to keep up with me.
I
Anyways,
love carrots, man.
guys, it's debate night. Woo! I'm so
Who's
excited.
ready?
We have been waiting for
Oh
this.
my.
It was back and forth. It was like that guy that like you thought liked you, but he did, then he didn't call. It was back and forth. Okay. We didn't know if this was gonna happen. Kamala was being shady with the terms and the rules and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
Whoa.
Kamala. Sorry, you didn't
Camel toe.
Kamala was being shady because she was like, I don't like these terms. I don't like the network.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they called it off and then they put it back on. And then
Didn't they change it from Fox News to ABC?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because he wanted it on
Trash.
Fox and she didn't want it. Yeah.
The trash scared. You scared.
Well,
But she leader
The
though.
first thing that you ate? Oh, the first thing I ate when I touched down in America? Well, the first thing I ate was a cup of ramen at the airport. That was like the first thing I get my hands on. But when I got to the
word?
hotel, the first thing I ordered was Panda Express.
Panda Express. What you say, Chuck?
Panda Express. I was
Somebody shout to the Lord.
I was kind of let down because you know like those hole in the wall Chinese spots that you go to.
Yeah.
The fried rice is
Oh,
just on point. The fried chicken is
heck
on
yeah.
point. I didn't get
So
that experience.
you were craving. That's what you were craving was Panda Express.
No, but that was like the closest thing to Chinese that I could get.
Oh, I see. You're like, oh, I guess in the airport, yeah. In the airport,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
so it was late. We got in late. There was like nothing really open. Everything was closing.
Yeah.
We didn't have a rental car. We were just taking the shuttle back and forth from the airport. So I got DoorDash. And dude, when I did a DoorDash, I had like so many credits from not using it for 4 years that I
Oh, they
pretty much
stay
got
there?
a free meal. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's
I
nice.
got
I
a
didn't
free
know that.
meal.
I didn't know that.
So Panda Express, guys, it wasn't what it was. I mean, it was Panda and the expressing, but it wasn't like giving what it needed to give. I was so let down.
Mhm.
Like, man, I don't want
Mhm.
Chinese. What is this?
Liddell, what's been new with you? I haven't talked to you in a minute. What's been new?
Oh, nothing much. Just been over here doing what I do, getting it in with the people. And
We
and
over on
buying up
TikTok
low
with it,
rubbish,
trying to take
buying
over.
up lots. And we over here killing TikTok.
Oh, you're over there on
fun.
TikTok? Okay.
Killing the game.
Okay.
Suni was talking to somebody today. This was the dumbest.
About what?
And I mean it respectfully.
Uh-huh.
He was the dumbest.
Why was
the
he
most-
dumb?
Bro.
Oh my word. Oh Jesus. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and get us live on TikTok.
Okay.
Now that you
Are
know
we gonna be live
exactly
on
what's going.
TikTok? What up, TikTok?
Yeah. Give me 1 second, y'all. I got you, babe.
Are we live on your TikTok talk too, Suni, or just?
No, I don't have my screen. I can't. 'Cause
Oh,
we'll hear too many conflicting. How do you say it? We will be able to hear the TikTok feed as well as our feed,
right.
and I'm
Yeah.
trying to limit that.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see if I'm live. Let
Yeah.
me make sure. Yeah, I'm live, y'all. We live. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
We're gonna
where's
expand it.
Deontay?
While you guys are
No,
figuring that out, I do
expand.
want to reiterate that the debate starts shortly, but none of these debates never start on time. Suni's
They never
watching
do.
it.
Yeah,
Suni's
I have
watching
it
it
up.
on her end. Yeah, so she's keeping an eye on that for us. Pretty much, guys, it's the same rules as last time, which I think is great because I actually
Yes.
appreciated the format last time. So it'll be 90 minutes, 2 commercial breaks, 2 moderators. They coin flipped, and Trump won the coin toss, so he gets to select the order of the statement. So he'll offer the last closing statement, and Vice President Kamala Harris will go after. They go into a lot of stuff. There's no notes. Obviously, they just get pen, paper, and water. And
She wanted notes too. She wanted notes too. I'm just trash.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we could be privy to like their debate prep. Because I want to know what they've been doing for her. And then I also want to know if Trump got some good coaching from Tulsi. Because y'all know that he brought
I was
Tulsi.
watching Laura Trump, and she was giving the like lowdown on how he's going to come out today, if he's going to come out swinging or he is going to remain calm. And she said, what you're going to see is very reminiscent to what you saw with Joe Biden. And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm here
Good.
for it, because we
Good.
need you to remain calm, sir. Don't
Ooh.
don't fall for the attacks. Don't
Right.
do it.
Oh,
Right.
I see what's going on.
Yeah, we need a balanced amount of pettiness because I'm here for the pettiness, but it needs to be balanced, okay? And it needs to be very calculated pettiness. Like, don't go after her
Facts.
looks, don't go after her race or her skin color or the fact that she's,
Yeah.
we all know what it is.
Don't
But
call her stupid. That was one thing that,
Suni,
yes, sir.
can you hear me on TikTok?
Let me see. Hold on.
Mhm.
I need a good whooping tonight. It sounded so off.
yeah. No, but you guys, he can. You know what? Like, if you guys watch the Candace Owens Rabbi Shmuley debate that was on Piers Morgan,
God.
that
was
was
the best debate.
that was an excellent example of how Trump needs to handle this debate tonight. Candace allowed Rabbi Shmuley to do a lot. Well, he didn't allow her to talk, but she just let him go. Okay. and he sunk his own ship. So, you know, we all know Kamala likes to ramble. Okay, word salad.
Yeah, she does.
So Trump does not have to do much. Like people were asking, like, oh, you know, we heard that she got leaked the questions. I'm not worried about that. Trump is ready all the time.
I mean, all we have to do is honestly look at her pre-recorded interview. You know, I'm pretty sure she was given those questions beforehand, and even during that pre-recorded interview, she struggled. It was pretty honestly. I personally do not like her. I don't like her character. I don't like the way she talks. She just comes off as a very like disingenuous person, right? Yeah. But it was kind of sad watching her struggle to be able to answer those not even difficult questions, especially he brought out, I'm jealous. So he brought out this. What? So celebrating? You getting ready, huh?
Let me go ahead and pop this up real fast. This is only for a special occasion now. Okay. This afternoon, y'all. There was a man that thought he was smart. He was a liberal. And shout out to all the liberals in the chat, whether it be on TikTok or YouTube, whatever you own, baby, what it do, how you feeling, what it is, what it was. But the exact same time, y'all, what tripped me out here, guys, is this Bama gotta be respectful, you know, because Jesus thought he was smart until he engaged Sunni Blanks, now residing in Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe. And what tripped me out, guys, is this here. Is Sunni destroyed this man. It was so bad. Mo, it was so bad.
But what? Like how? What happened?
They were talking about this. They were talking about government spending, and they centralized on the city of Charlotte because that's where Sunni is from. Sunni was pinpointing how the state is spending the money when it comes to school districts. And she literally, the dude was talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, And Sunni said, let me go look it up. So Sunni literally got her phone out and looked up the state budget for the Charlotte school district. I think it's CMS. She brought out the graphs. She knew what was coming in as far as income, expenditures, and she was giving this guy facts. Now she's giving facts. What he was saying, this is what he was doing the whole time. Ooh. And I'm like, fool, you know, she like destroying you. The chat going crazy, like, this guy is a buffoon. Like you had some of those trolls talking about she's on welfare. I'm like, I'm not on welfare at all. What are you talking about? I was like, isn't that a bit racist? Did you see a black woman and assume that she's on welfare? What are you talking about? And so I tried to cam up myself. And this he didn't bring me up. It was so bad. She was the last guest he brought up. He said, I have to go cook dinner, y'all. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. When I know dinner began that early. 3:30 in the afternoon, dinner time.
I'm funny, bro.
It was bad. It was torch. He was like, well, how much is going to our salaries? Soon as said 50% of the 2.4 billion is going in salaries.
Yeah.
She said, what 14 was 16% is going toward benefits. So 66% of the entire budget of the 2.8 billion is going toward salaries and retirement. And so they begin talking about the superintendent's salaries of Atlanta and Charlotte. I mean, it was just bad, and how the Atlanta superintendent was getting paid $392,000 a year. This dude said that's not enough.
He said that wasn't enough.
Oh my gosh!
So, are you going to do Disney? Or are we going to do NBC? What would you prefer?
I think NBC is the safer one because on the stream, yeah. Is Deontay coming up here? Deontay, if you're coming up and
he's on daddy duty, he'll be up.
Wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to startup small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
What the hell?
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas. I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like it? We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this, because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices, is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. "Thank you, President Xi," exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her, because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Linsey?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, "I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks." But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said, the baby will be born, and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban, because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to your desk?
Well, I won't have to, because again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs, barely can afford to do it. And what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
Answer the question.
Why don't you ask her that
Why
question?
don't you answer the question?
No, you answer.
The question with your veto.
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Lies.
And understand, this comes at a time
Don't take the bait.
where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually
better talk about what was in that
the
bill.
problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something
This
really
coming from
unusual,
the person
and I'm going to
who can't
invite
answer.
you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the board.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies.
About policy,
the biggest
policy,
rallies, the
policy.
most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as the rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a four-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former secretary of defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people, not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job, I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country, and they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in. And all over the world, crime is down. All over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof, despite their fraudulent statements that they made. Crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice President Harris,
the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. Now, what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails. Because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Linsey?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for
Shut
president.
up, shut up, Trump.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Linsey?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking, because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
Well, first of
response?
all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Don't lie.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She
just
did
calm
things that
down?
nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of it. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that
for
we
the
have to get
environment.
to.
They
We're
should
out of time.
understand.
Thank you.
Linsey, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out of the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, well, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask you.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they've destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper. But they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed. Those people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short. Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I said that sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that, but he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel. Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters, because it is also true far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un, and it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Wow.
Listen, Trump is getting his ass handed to him.
He's definitely not the one handing it. Us for damn sure.
She is whooping his ass. And the only thing she's doing is gaslighting and bringing up regurgitated talking points from the left. And he is taking the bait every time she does it. He has redirected a total of 2 times this. What has it been? 45, 30 minutes? The first 30 minutes of this debate?
Yeah.
Bro, what the... Where is your debate strategist? Who prepared you for this shit?
You know what made me mad is when they were talking about the border.
Bad, bro.
When they were talking about the border, okay? He did not, and she said, oh, him and his people, they shot down the border bill that we proposed. He could have easily at that point said, this is why we did not want that border bill. Here's what was in it. He could have easily said that, and he didn't say that. What is wrong with him?
He could have easily brought up H.R. 2, which was the standalone bill that actually addressed everything going on at the border. He could have brought up the fact that Cory Booker and so many all Democrats voted against it because they said it was too restrictive. He could have brought up 1,000 things.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I mentioned in the comments, they didn't fact check her at all.
Well, Trump has to understand this is ABC. There's a reason why she refused to go on these other 2 debates, because she wanted to go on the most likely the most biased network when it comes to Trump. Or look at the coverage. That being stated, he should understand this. He is too emotional right now. I understand he wants to fight. He wants to fight. That's fine. You can fight, but with the right decorum, with the right presentation. Right now, he looks like an old, angry man, and that right there is making her look sane, even though all she's stating is lies and gaslighting. He's just taking the bait. Someone needs to take him and say, "Calm your ass down, man." Yeah. Right now, you lost the first 30 minutes. You lost it. You lost it. Now, since you lost it, you can win it back. He needs to go back to where it was just him and Biden. He should be real calm, cool, collect. Be boring as hell. Yep. Be boring, bruh. You don't have to win conservatives. You got the conservatives. You're trying to win these independents, man.
Right.
Come on, bro.
Yeah. He should have seen it. I don't want to see people online saying, oh, they set him up. It was a setup. He should have seen it coming. Trump is not dumb. He should have seen that coming. Like Liddell said, he knows what platform he's on, who's watching. He should have seen this coming.
And Lynn, I see you on YouTube. I believe they prepared him. He made a decision not to follow those preparation points. It's very simple. He started off just fine. The first 5 minutes, he was all right. That's what last 20 minutes was a train wreck. And that's exactly what they wanted.
Yep.
That's what they wanted.
Twitter is killing him right now.
Oh my God. I went over Twitter and I was like, damn,
on
it's
X.
a massacre over there.
He let her off the hook several times. Kamala Harris has not answered one single question directly outside of the Israel question that she was asked. That's the only question that she answered directly. Anytime they've asked her a question, she's redirected to insult Trump. And
every time
moderators have helped her. The moderators have redirected and say, so Trump said this. What do you think about that, Vice President?
Correct.
And they haven't asked him a single question on Kamala Harris said this, Mr. President. What do you think about this?
And they won't.
Look, it's definitely a biased platform. But
it
like
is.
Mo said, like Liddell said, this is something that his debate team should have prepared him for.
Yeah.
And
they did.
He's back on.
Yeah.
Clearly, look, you could be right. I think you are right. He's deviating from what they planned from. But he needs to come back and dominate this second half.
Right.
There is no other debate set up right now for him to redeem himself.
And she won't do it. She won't do it.
Yeah.
She won't do it.
Yeah.
She's too afraid. She's too afraid to do it.
From the National Constitution
And Patrick, this is about who doesn't know if they want to vote for him, not necessarily those of us that are voting for him.
We already know we're voting
back
for
to
him.
this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more, because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
Just to clarify
they
here.
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
There we go.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier. And now, please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening. But he does have that, something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal and, in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics. politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here
What the
tonight.
hell does got to
Do you
do?
believe it's
What does this have to
appropriate
do
to
with
weigh
anything?
in
But
on the
they're setting them
racial
up again.
identity of your opponent?
I don't. And
Who
I don't care.
cares?
I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a
That's
big
it.
deal
Stop.
out of
I don't
something.
care what she
I
is.
couldn't
Stop.
care less.
Right.
Stop.
Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
Stop. No.
Okay.
Those were your words. So I'm
I don't
asking-
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that.
Dude,
And then
shut up.
I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned land, he owned
She losing it now.
buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times
Here we go.
calling for the execution of 5
take the bait,
young
the bait.
black and
Don't
Latino
take the bait.
boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this.
She's doing a terrible job
Want
at
someone who
unpacking this
understands, as
though.
I do, I travel our country.
Yes, she is.
We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Linsey?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
Shut up.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said, going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5. They admitted, they said, they pled guilty.
Why do you?
And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately.
There they go.
And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad. And she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I
Linsey.
want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country, one who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans.
Wow.
I have a
What
plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax
That's it.
deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas.
If he doesn't
their
jump
hard
in
work.
here
I have a plan,
and cook her,
$6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight.
she won't commit to
as
it.
opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay. Thank
That's
you,
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Linsey,
to
go ahead.
respond.
President Trump,
No, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said
No, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
going
just need
to move on,
respond
Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now
times.
your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare.
this
You have
got to
failed to
do-
accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today.
Rico,
And what I said, that if we
47
come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up
These
with
questions
something,
are
I
so
would only
biased.
change it if we
Good
come up
God.
with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Linsey. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand,
Wow.
just look
She
at the
answered it
history
well.
to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the
This is
time
a
because
brilliant plan
he
by
got
them.
caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it. Pass this prologue in terms of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot of...
You made a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat.
Perfect
the question
setup
to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
She's just straight lying. There
yes, she
was
is.
no manufacturing that closed under Trump. That is just a bold-faced lie.
It doesn't matter.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, no, facts don't matter. Truth doesn't matter. What matters is who is better at articulating a message. Whose rhetoric is more effective? Who's more persuasive? Whose composure is more presidential? Donald Trump is shot himself in the foot.
He's getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah,
but
every
I
opportunity.
gotta fact check. We gotta provide the audience that are watching. They could be independents. They could be moderates. What she just said is just not true, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's not.
Here's the reality, right? I've been saying this in the comments since the beginning of the debate. The people that are voting for Trump are voting for Trump. It doesn't matter how bad he drops the ball in this debate. The people that are voting for Kamala are going to continue voting for Kamala. It's the individuals that are undecided. And Donald Trump has totally lost sight, if he ever had any, of who he was addressing in this debate. He should have known that he was going to come. He was coming into hostile territory with unbiased moderators who intended on crafting questions designed to make him look bad. He should have not responded with any incendiary, any inflammatory rhetoric. He should have been kind, compassionate. He should have walked out and shook her hand. He fucked up in the beginning by not shaking her hand. He should have met her in the middle, shook her hand. Good evening, Miss Vice President. We need to see a gentleman. You're not trying, bro. Terrible.
I can tell you guys now. This is not what I'm saying, Deontay. Is this here is what you wanted Trump to do? He's not going to do because it's not him.
Yeah, we are. He may potentially lose the election because of it.
And that may be the case. But the one thing about him is this here is, what do you tell a type A personality who's ran for president one time more than we ever did and won it his first time? He's going to say, "Shut the fuck up! I know what the fuck I'm doing. I won. You have not." Yeah. Yes, he has a valid point.
Yeah, and you know what I'm gonna tell him? You lost in 2020.
And he'll say, "You're right, you did, but I won in 2016."
But he won't say that. He will continue idiotically to suggest that he lost the election. Even if you did lose the election, you should understand that it is not politically sound. It is not proven strategy.
I hear what you're saying, but he's a New Yorker. This is how they talk.
I don't care where he's from.
Well, I'm just giving you the fact of who he is.
Yeah, but unfortunately, right? Donald Trump is representing a constituency of people that feel that the country is on the line. So he needs to put his ego on the back burner, and he needs to approach political exchanges in a way that takes into consideration the concerns of his constituency.
Sure.
And that's what he's not doing. And
he's not doing that.
And the people that are in his PR, his public relations specialists, his campaign advisors, his debate coaches, they did a terrible job.
Yeah.
I would say
because I can guarantee you that there's a bunch of
either they did a terrible job or they told him, he said, "F y'all, I'm gonna do my own thing." One of the two.
Yeah, well, if he did that, because here's the thing, right? Like, even calling her a Marxist,
that was stupid.
That's stupid, bro. Like, this is not the McCarthy era. We are not in the former Cold War. Like, we may be in a Cold War in terms of like the overhaul of very strong left-leaning ideology disseminating throughout college campuses all over the United States, but people don't even know what a Marxist is. Like that, you got that from somebody. Because I can guarantee you, if they would have put him on the spot and say, "Well, sir, can you explain to us what you mean when you say she's a Marxist?"
He wouldn't be able to do it.
He wouldn't be able to articulate it. You shouldn't be saying anything that you can't articulate soundly, with confidence, and with accuracy. You should have came out and discussed straight economics.
The only thing that's going to save him is if people say, "Yeah, he did bad in this debate, but damn it, I feel the pain at the kitchen table, so I got to vote for Trump."
Yeah, right, but those people are already voting for Donald Trump.
I'm talking about the independents.
Bro, the majority of independents in this country, I can't quantify this. I cannot verify
It's back on.
this assumption. Oh, okay.
Okay, it's back on. My bad, y'all.
Different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump,
what you gonna
thank
do?
you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Linsey Davis.
He didn't sell the dream.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it anymore. Look,
He didn't sell the dream.
look, Trump
He did. He didn't
Bad.
sell the dream.
Trump got his
He didn't
ass handed
sell.
to him tonight. Trump was
He
not
didn't, no.
presidential. Trump, I don't know who prepared him for this debate
Nobody.
or what strategy they had, but he came in. He came in horrible and he ended horrible, man. This was a disgusting, terrible debate. I was so looking forward to this. Kamala Harris is the worst speaker in America.
Not
She sucks.
not
But
when she has a
tonight,
script.
she rehearsed her lines. Whoever was writing her retorts prepared
Obama.
her. She showed up. Now, whether she's actually going to be able to execute that doesn't matter, because she looked into the camera and pulled out American heartstrings. She capitalized on abortion. She capitalized on grape. She capitalized on J6. Every single thing that a sticking point that they have on him, he fell for it. He fell for it.
Yeah. He
brought
fell
up
in the
race. Should have said, I
Yep.
have nothing to say about her race, and left it alone. Period.
Yep.
In ABC, it was rigged.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. ABC.
It was biased.
This was, who was it? Glenn Beck actually asked the question. He said, is this a trap? The answer was yes. This was a trap, and it was a brilliant executed. It really was. All of the questions were biased. All of the questions were one-sided, and all they did was just give her alley-oops, and she dunked it, and she dunked it. And the thing about it is the person throwing the alley-oops was Donald Trump. He was the one throwing the alley, throwing them up. It was like Trump was like Gary Payton, and she was like Sean Kemp, just boom. And I'm like, this is bad. He seemed like he looked old and angry. That's what. Oh, he looked angry, just angry. And I understand why he looked angry, because of what was going on for the last 2 or 3 years against him. But this was the only shot, because she's not going to agree to any additional debates. That's not what followers don't agree to be tested. She's a follower.
So she doesn't have.
Hold on a second. She's a follower. So at the exact same time, for her, this was a great night for her. Phenomenal night.
Real quick, hold on just a second, Deontay. I want to go to somebody that joined to comment. So the Don, if you want to go ahead and add your commentary to it, and then we'll move to Said after this. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Don.
I'm very disappointed. Like, a lot of the talking points that he could have attacked when it comes to his policies, anytime that he could have brought Agenda 47, he just literally went off a script. He did not bring up Agenda 47 at all, which is disappointing. I don't like the fact that they continue to try to fact check him, but never fact checked her, as well as the fact that tonight was a good night for her. Sad to admit that. She definitely did get trained to how to talk correctly without that word salad she usually do. She definitely practiced. It seemed rehearsed. With Trump, his ego just went to the ranks tonight, and he's very disappointed tonight.
Agreed. Thank you. Said.
Good evening, my peeps. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Man, Trump took it on the chin bad tonight. Even before you brought Deontay and I were talking, did you see the points that I said were going to be his Waterloo, J6, Roe versus Wade, and if they brought up qualified immunity? And I saw Liddell shaking his head during it, because for whatever reason, like, either he said he was going to go off and do his own thing. He didn't address specific points. Even D spoke on it eloquently. What this debate turned out to be, nothing about policy. They made it about character and personality. He cannot win a character and personality debate. And that's why you heard the Central Park 5, all of the things and all that. You saw right off the bat when they first asked her the first question, Liddell, and you saw me put it in there and said, hey, she's not answering it. He should have came back and said, after she finished, said, well, I'll answer the question, unlike, like you did, to put her on, blast. Said, you're dancing around these topics. She started talking about, well, my cabinet, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, you could see that the hosts were, like Dee said, were a little biased, but that's his fault, because he knew that going in. And he did not keep her to policy. and that's his fault. And then I don't know, to be honest with you, if he can recover from that.
Agreed.
Go ahead, Dante.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to add. He did terrible. That's all I got to say. He did terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still going to vote for him because I'm an informed voter and I understand the policies. And I could have a discussion about executive orders that each administration have implemented on day one of their administration. I can provide a list to anybody that's interested of all of the executive orders that the Biden administration implemented on January 21st, 2021. But that doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. Like I don't say this to be rude or to be inflammatory, but I say this to be brutally honest. Voters on both sides of the political spectrum are uninformed, right? Like Trumpers are Trumpers. The majority of them are voting for Trump because they know that, like, okay, yes, we're dealing with inflation, right? Like prices are extremely elevated. I can feel it in my wallet. And the economic impact is unbearable. But if you ask them to actually articulate why they're voting for Trump, you will see that they will struggle. But these people are also hypercritical of Biden voters as well as Kamala voters and say, oh, you guys don't vote on policy, you guys vote based on emotion. Both sides do. And I can see that based on the comments in Sunni's live, in Sunni and Mo's live. I'm looking at the comments right now and I see so many people. It's a coping mechanism, right? They know Trump lost. And so they're on Twitter. Oh, ABC's lighting Twitter or Twitter's lighting AB. That doesn't matter. None of that matters. Like facts don't matter. Truth doesn't matter. Joseph Goebbels, you repeat a lie frequently enough and big enough, it becomes the truth. That's all that matters. What mattered tonight was who was more eloquent, who was more composed, whose demeanor was more palatable, who came off more presidential. Donald Trump, terrible. I'm extremely disappointed. Especially like, and I'll end here. You're debating a woman, bro. You're debating a woman, and you started off the debate in the most non-gentleman-like manner. You didn't meet the woman in the middle of the debate stage and shake her hand and say, good evening. Welcome. I hope to have a pleasant discussion with you. Like, yeah, I even question a man's negotiation capability at this point. I'm gonna be so honest, right? Like, yeah, terrible. And I'm voting for Trump. And terrible. All I can say
is go ahead.
Utterly terrible. My bad. I'm kind of in a state of shock.
You good?
It's heinous.
I think this comment right here is interesting though. I used to be a Trump supporter, but he lost my support and effed himself over tonight. And he's been effing himself over. He need to stop acting like a little B word that he is now. This is who Trump was in 2016, except 2016 he was fresh on the scene. And his insults towards Hillary Clinton were widely accepted because it was something new. You don't see politicians get on a stage and be inflammatory because you'd be in jail if I was president. And everybody is like, dude, she's corrupt. And this dude says he's going to put her in jail and this, that, and the third. People are well beyond that now. I wanted to hear about Agenda 47. Talk about that. Redirect the conversation. All those questions were lined up for her to really expound upon her lack of policies that she really doesn't have any. Just to be honest, her policies are the Biden policies continued.
Do you know what she should do? You know what Trump needs to do? It's what he needs to do. Because this is really bad. He's going to have to go on to the CNN, ABC, the liberal side, and explain Agenda 47. He's going to have to do that.
That won't work.
He'll have to do that. He'll have to do that. But again, because that is where the lion's share of her supporters are at. And some independents actually look at it as well also. I'm talking about CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC. He needs to go on there more often and explain his agenda. He should do that.
I think he should have did that prior to debate. I don't think it would be beneficial for him to do it after this debate. It's horrible. I agree with Suni
Really?
when it comes to the fact that he should have definitely bought Agenda 47. I was waiting for him to bring up
That's
policies.
all he
I
should have
wish
focused on.
I wish when she was attacking him and his character, I wish he should have brought up the point that she finally dropped her policies last night, and he should have studied them and should have made that his talking point if he
Yep.
wasn't going to talk about Agenda 47. Because at the end of the day,
Yep.
she waited till the last minute to drop her policies.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
when she kept bringing up 2025 is when he said he had nothing to do with that as his perfect opportunity to slide in 47.
Correct.
Agreed.
That's when he
Agreed.
should have slid it in. And then he waited right to the end to say, well, you've been in the office for 3.5 years and you haven't done. He should have brought that up way before
the beginning.
Over
Exactly.
and over and over again.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say this. I don't think Donald Trump knows the successes of his former administration. I don't. I mean, like the pedigree of presidents in this country has just declined to such an extent that it's really unimaginable. Like for anybody that has an interest in looking at the history of presidential debates, go back and watch JFK and Nixon debate. Go back and watch Reagan debate. Go listen to Barry Goldwater. The intellectual pedigree of these men and their ability to articulate their policy objectives and their perspective is astronomically better than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is redundant. We had the greatest economy. How? Why was the economy great? What steps did you take? What executive orders did you implement and why? Why not bring up your executive order that deregulated the oil industry and countered the Clean Power Plan? Right, like he just does a terrible job, right? Like,
yeah, I agree. When they were talking about the crisis in the Middle East, he should have brought up all the treaties that he implemented while he was in office. Like, he just did not do no things. He dropped the ball. I really feel like he was triggered. I think that's what the tactic was, to trigger his ego. And
I'm shocked just because the last time we saw her, remember when she debated Pence and Pence destroyed her.
Yeah,
Pence destroyed her deep, and you just saw her unravel. And I think it's kind of a scapegoat. Yeah, we can see that some of the questions, how it was framed, was a little biased. It was not 3-on-1.
It was 3-on-1.
It was 3-on-1.
It was 3-on-1.
She cleaned him up. She answered just like some of the
it was 3-on-1, bro.
She didn't answer
questions better than he did.
She never answered questions. She never answered questions. She never answered questions. We can't give her that. She never answered. She answered Israel. She answered Israel, but when it came to the other questions that she was asked, she did not actually answer questions. She attacked him and his character, and was only bringing emotions to the thing. She didn't bring any facts. She brought nothing but lies. The two individuals that was the moderators did not fact check her at all when they could have did it multiple times, including with Project 2025. They only fact checked him, so it was 3-on-1.
And that was the plan. That was the plan the whole time. Here's what
I'll wait till you're done. Go ahead.
Here's what I believe, guys. Let's just say, for instance, guys, that he brought up all that stuff. They were still going to do exactly what they did. It wouldn't have mattered at all. It was 3-on-1. It was severely biased. That was this man's mentality. Now, do I agree with how he executed? Oh no. But even if he actually brought up Agenda 47, all they would brought up is Project 2025. It would have been different that over and over and over and over again. They had a plan. No matter what he said, they were going to do this exact same thing.
I disagree. I'm more in agreement with said. One, I do think that she answered questions, some very eloquently and very direct. Now whether they were valid, whether they were truth or not is another question. But in terms of answering the question that was posed, she answered it. What Donald Trump did is he created the opportunity for the moderators to be biased. If Donald Trump would have been more strategical and more tactical about how he addressed those questions, he would have limited the opportunities for the moderators to double team or triple team him. So an example of that would have been, right, when they said Mr. President, I don't. Matter of fact, I won't give you an example, I won't address what he could have said to a question. Rather, I'll highlight that he literally interrupted them at every transition of a new segment into a new question to respond to her comment. Right, like when he brought up the dog getting eaten. I mean, like, bro, what? You out here spreading Twitter theories? You're on a presidential debate talking about dogs and cats being eaten. You triggered.
So
triggered.
This is what I think.
Terrible.
This commentary is coming from people who already support him. This commentary is coming from people who have high expectations, right? Most of us are extremely intelligent here. We've studied his policies. We've studied his executive orders. We look at the opposite side. We study their legislation, executive orders. But people who are undecided voters, and I'm just going to give an anecdotal piece of evidence here. There's 2 young people who are watching the show right now. They're my friends. They don't participate in voting. They didn't even know anything about Agenda 47. I slid it in front of them and I said, you should read this. I don't know if you're voting or not, but you should read this. The fact that those people are still going to vote for Trump, that's fine. I think he lost this debate. He did.
He did.
But does that mean that these people are going to turn around and vote for Kamala? Absolutely not. I don't think that at all. I don't think Trump is the best orator. We all know that. Yep. He's continued to do what he did in 2016. He did it in 2020, and he's doing it in 2024. The only time we saw this guy tame was when he was talking to Biden. And that's because he knows the mall is open, but ain't nobody shopping. Yep. Biden did not have anything to come at him with. Biden has had a horrible presidential run. Kamala Harris, on the other half, she's got race to use against him. She's got gender to use against him. She's got abortion. She used everything she knew would trigger him, and he fell for it. But are the moderates and the independents going to turn away and vote for Kamala after this?
No.
I don't think they are.
Yeah,
I don't.
I disagree.
How can you disagree? You're not an independent. You're already voting for Trump.
I disagree for a multitude of reasons, but I think that to say moderate or independent people aren't going to switch over to Kamala. One, I think that, and I'll have to go back and look at data if there is any data on this, but I'm willing to wager, without having looked at any of the data, that most independents have been voting for the Democrat Party in the 21st century, 2000 forward. I'm willing to wager that most independents have voted Democrat. I think that they were what independents were looking for tonight was, does Donald Trump have the decorum that I deem acceptable to be president? Is he going to be presidential, or is he going to be petty? Is he going to be fact driven?
Conjecture, D.
Yeah, well, we're all speculating right now. It's just opinion, right? Like, none of us have. This is all conjecture. What you said is conjecture. What I said is conjecture.
Thank you, Don.
Huh?
Oh, I'm talking with Don. My
You're
bad.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So I think that independents are contrasting the two candidates that they seen tonight and how they talk, and they said,
he's live on CNN.
Yeah, Donald Trump is exactly who they claimed he was. I think that's what they successfully did tonight. Is they made Donald Trump fit the caricature of who they've depicted him as for the last 4 years. Angry.
Ooh. Go ahead, Deontay. My bad. Go ahead, Deontay. Go ahead.
Wait. But what were you doing to what I said, or
Oh no, I saw a comment. My bad. I saw a comment. My bad.
Yeah, I think that he literally like he jumped into the suit that they've been designing for him. Right?
Yeah, he's definitely became the boogeyman tonight for the people that they're friend mongering to. So
You're a dictator. Yeah. You're a dictator lover. You write. What did she say? She said you wrote a love letter to Kim Jong Un. Right? Like you're friends with Viktor Orban. Americans don't know who Viktor Orban is. All they know is that he's a right-wing authoritarian figure, even though that's not true. That's what the mainstream liberal media has depicted. So it is true. The media is the most powerful entity in this country, and it is partnered with the Democrat Party. Donald Trump, I would say that he wasn't even smart taking the debate. Under the terms and conditions that existed, he shouldn't have taken this debate.
I would say this here. I agree with Sunni, but I would say this here. What's his name? JD Vance may save Donald Trump's presidency.
No, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Listen to what I'm about to say.
I want to hear. Let me hear you, little Boogie. Go ahead. Let me hear.
This is why I say this. It's because of the fact that the only debate that's going to happen now is the VP debate. So you had the presidential debate, which Trump lost. The last debate on people's minds is going to be the VP debate.
Yeah, the deal.
So hold on a second.
Is Tim Walz a pushover?
Not at all. I'm not saying he's the pushover at all. What I'm saying is this here: if JD Vance more eloquently, from a presentation standpoint, presents Agenda 47, he may just save it.
No.
So why I say this here, that's why I agree with Sunni, is both Democrats and Republicans say it's the economy, stupid. And so while tonight Trump is getting his ass handed to him, after tonight, people have to go to the grocery store, to the gas station, look for refinancing their mortgages, look for buying new houses, and say, well, damn. Yeah, he sucked here, but where I'm at right now, it's even worse. So,
but I think like Sunni and Dee were saying, Liddell, those people already or have made their mind up who they were going to vote for. Those people who, like you guys, who are studying policy, that know about inflation, et cetera, et cetera. Tonight was a key moment that he did not capitalize on. She did exactly what she was supposed to do, Susu. She played on. All she did is play on the emotions of the Americans.
She did. I don't disagree with y'all.
I agree with you.
I do. I'm sorry, my bad.
Hold up. Thank you. What we are leaving out is that emotions still exist.
Yes.
People are still feeling the pain in their pockets.
Yes.
People are still seeing that this economy is trash.
Yes.
They're not as well versed as we are, but what they do know is that this economy sucks. What they do know is gas prices are high. What they do know is it costs over $500, $600 to every 2 weeks to keep your groceries in your refrigerator.
Yes,
they know that. And honestly, how many of these people
outweigh Susu?
It is going to outweigh, because how many of those people actually watch the debate? My sister ain't watching this debate, but you know what?
Seriously, we have 6 intelligent people on here, right? Is that going to outweigh this emotional? Oh my gosh, he's a danger to democracy. If he gets,
I'm presenting another emotional argument, though.
I'm gonna agree with you, Sunni, on that, because right now the debate is a hot topic because it's just aired, right? But like Liddell and Sunni said, tomorrow, once the debate conversation has worn off, reality will step back in and be like, okay, this was just a one-time thing, that she looked good on camera. Okay, she was prepared. Yes, she won the debate, but at the end of the day, people are going to remember. How bad their pockets hurt.
I think she won a debate tonight. However, I don't think she gained any new supporters because at the end of the day, she
Yep.
did not talk about any policies, real policies. All she did was rumble and attacked his character. She did win
Correct.
some arguments, but I don't think she gained any new support.
Correct.
I think they're going to try to say she did, but I don't think she has.
Okay,
Yeah.
question for you guys. Are most people, D, I don't know if D's still on there, are most people voting based on emotion or what they know about policy?
Emotion.
Okay.
Emotion.
So so these
say it.
people were looking at this moment and they're gonna be like, because I think it was Trump's to lose. I was like, there's no way that she's gonna beat him in a debate. That all he has to do is not mess it up. And he screwed it up. And this is what people are gonna remember. Most people are not going to go D and read all of these policies you guys read. Most people can't tell you about 47 or even the 2025. All they know is they've been hearing people say, oh, it's going to take us back to modern day slavery and all this, and they can't tell you anything in it.
But
Those
say
are
it.
the people
Yeah,
that
I said what I think we're dealing with right now is a panel of Trump supporters, and I'm one.
Correct.
But I think that we're dealing with it. Like, so I'll give you an example, right? They can feel it in their pocket all they want to, but they can also simultaneously believe that the cause of their economic pain is Trump, because that's what the media says.
Great, but at the exact same time. So here's my question. Then, okay, let's go with that premise.
Yeah, I think
This
you
is
have to
Trump's
take
fault.
into consideration too that there's an entire new voting base that has been introduced in this election.
I agree with you.
Gen Z is voting.
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
Whatever you're presenting when it comes to what's going on, I'm not going to debate you on that at all. I agree with you 100%. Here's where I'm going to disagree on. How can it be Trump's fault if he ain't in office?
Once again, you assume that you're dealing with people that are logical, that are fact driven, that are going to actually go conduct the research to formulate conclusions rooted in reality. Trump doesn't have.
I know they won't.
Trump doesn't want in office. They can say that the reason that you're on TikTok regularly. Do you hear how many liberals and progressives and leftists try to attribute the economic challenges we're currently facing to Donald Trump? They legitimately believe that.
Hold on, real quick. Before I go, I gotta step away. Real quick. But I want to say this: just like Obama and the media try to make Kim Jong-un the boogeyman, they're trying to make him into the boogeyman. That's why they can easily blame him for the things that's occurring under this administration to attribute that it's his fault. So I gotta go, guys. Thank you for having me up here. Love y'all. Bless y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. And I just want to real quick give a thank you because he's given a few super chats to Sosa Man.
Yeah, Sosa Man. Thanks for the super chats, brother. You blessing Suni and Mo. Appreciate you, brother, for that, man.
What do you guys think, real quick, just so we can address some of his comments? Because people who do super chats, I want to highlight their comments. But he said all Tim Walz has to do is bring up Vance's voting against the child tax credit and border bill. He also said that Vance has executive experience over Vance.
Well, I would say concerning if you could put up that one talk about the child tax credit and the border bill, that's easy to defend. Just unpack the bill, both of them. Number two, yes, Tim Walz does have executive experience. His executive experience has sucked. He's ran Minnesota into the ground. I think it's JD Vance because he's had so much experience going on in the adversarial type of environments. Could actually easily point that out. He's a better orator than Donald Trump. So that's what I'm saying. If that is the last debate, which it most likely is going to be, and if JD Vance performs well, he just may convince independents, if they're listening, you know what, let me go and give this guy a shot because what? The vice president.
Yeah.
We got
exactly.
This is make stuff look bad too. Now she was given the questions ahead of time, all that. Can we just concede? She just did a better job than him. She did a better job. And like Deontay said, and all of us have experienced this on the other platform, Odell, where we will debate groups of people who may not even stick to the topic, but they can make it about something else. And when they
Correct.
can pull you into emotions, D, Adele, then you automatically they go, see, and that's all she did. I don't know if she can recover. Because like I said, you guys know how I am. I don't really care too much for either one of them, really. But there's no way, Liddell, I would have bet you a C note today if you would have told me that she would have won this debate. I just didn't think there's any way that she would have won a debate because I seen her debate and I didn't think her debating skills are very good. And,
well, I agree with you said. I thought that Trump was going to at least survive the debate and win it. I knew they were going to probably spin it as if he lost it. He performed very, very bad in this debate, extremely bad. Was it biased? Sure, but he should have known that. You being an ex-president, understanding how ABC operates, you should have known it up front, which leads me to conclude either you were prepared, or you were unprepared, or you were prepared and you decided to remix the strategy. And I'm going to lean more on remixing the strategy because you actually had someone that destroyed Kamala Harris on a stage in Tulsi Gabbard.
To be honest, real quick, what would you guys give him as a letter grade? I'd actually give him a D-. What would you guys give him?
I agree with that. Yeah.
D-.
I'm giving him an F.
Well, he showed up, D. We can't give him an F because he showed up. Okay.
Nah, you can get an F. You go to class, you take the test, you can get an F. You got an F.
So
Suni,
we'll see which side goes. Go ahead.
I think Suni, I don't know if she's there or not, but she says she had another point to make. I don't know what she's doing. I think she might be over on Twitter converting people. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead, Liddell.
I'm about to get off in a second. It's good to see you. Said, man, been thinking about your brother, praying for you, man. If you need anything, I'm here, brother. Love you to life, man.
I appreciate all of y'all. Mo, I saw your comment on my page. Liddell and I, man, Liddell listened to me for over an hour on the phone. Deontay's been checking on me, Susu as well. So I do appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's just, I would just say, man, I would say, man, this is going to be interesting to see. There's going to be a lot of spinning on both sides. I expect for Trump to say he won because that's how he operates. He will never say he lost. That's his MO. That's his MO. And to be honest with you, it's worked for him for years and made him a billionaire. So I expect nothing else, nothing less than that. But we see how it goes, man. But yeah, Kamala Harris won this debate, hands down, easy.
So it looks like the Harris campaign is already asking for another debate.
What?
They said that was fun. That's what Heather B is saying. She quoted, they said that was fun, and they're requesting another debate.
Oh yeah,
it better be on Fox.
If I was them, I would too. Because,
Fox.
It's like a shark that smells blood.
Yes.
Yeah, it's time to attack. It's time to go on offense. I'm gonna like the Republican Party.
In October.
If they agree to a debate and it's on Fox, oh my God.
Well, then we'll really see if she was truly prepped very well for this debate. We'll see the real deal then for sure.
She won't agree to a debate on Fox.
No, she won't. It's going to be probably on either CBS or NBC. She will not do Fox.
Yeah, she definitely won't do Fox.
They should do. What did they do the last one on CNN? They did the Biden.
CNN.
Yeah,
CNN.
Liberals don't consider Fox News.
They don't.
They consider it a propaganda machine.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. People need to understand, right? Like, I'm genuinely concerned about the prospect of the 2024 election now. Not that I wasn't concerned before, but Donald Trump did horrible. Horrible. It was horrible. It was heinous. It was hideous, horrible, every adjective you can think of to describe bad. It was bad.
In October. In October.
See,
Why?
and I agree with you that it was bad and horrible, but like comment like what you said that you're concerned about the election because of this, and that this guru making this comment, MAGA is dead. That's to me, that's a little dramatic. Like I said, I think
I don't think MAGA is dead. I think MAGA represents a larger movement. There are other figures that are involved in that movement.
Sure.
Vivek Ramaswamy, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Nicole Shanahan, like Elon Musk, they've even joined. They've collaborated on this concept of making America great again. But Donald Trump just didn't look presidential. And like me, right, being a political minded individual, I'm thinking like, okay, because if I'm his opposition, I'm thinking, how can I spin this? And if I'm the liberal news media, you know what I'm doing for the next month? I'm gonna play every clip possible to show every time that he got unhinged, triggered, that he was emotionally unintelligent, that he couldn't maintain composure, and I'm going to allege that this is how he behaves with world dictators, that this is how he behaves with America's opposition. The truth doesn't matter. Your ability to tell a story is what matters. Your ability to paint a picture, that's what matters. That he gave them all of the ammunition that they needed tonight to literally run this as the news segment for the next month. And you know that's what they're going to do. That's why. Do you know how much confidence that he had to have instilled in her campaign for them to call for a debate tonight, within an hour of the debate ending? I don't think y'all realize the magnitude of what we just witnessed.
Oh no, I agree. Here's my counter to that. I think, and this is just my opinion, if they do another debate, that could be dangerous for them. Very dangerous.
Yeah, you hope.
That's why I say it could. That's why I say it could.
Donald Trump
said could.
Yeah, I'm
when is the VP debate?
I'm voting for Trump for a litany of reasons that I won't go into now. But I'm really voting not just for Trump. I'm voting for the economic and the political vision of the Republican Party. That's what I'm voting for. And Donald Trump tonight was not a good representative of that vision. He wasn't.
He didn't tell the dream. He didn't tell the dream.
It would be foolish for her to debate him again strategically.
It depends on how Tim Walz. When is the VP debate? When is that?
I agree with Sid. She should take the win and run with it. Like if I'm her, I'm giving a press conference tomorrow morning, talking about, if not the day after, about how bad he performed, how unprepared he is, and
October 1st.
If he was unprepared for a debate, imagine how unprepared he is to run the country.
This depends on.
I'm going in.
This depends on how. I think they're floating out the idea of another debate, but at the exact same time, it's really going to really depend upon that VP debate, because remember, Pence destroyed Kamala, and Kamala and Biden won the election. So evidently, debates don't decide elections. They don't. They don't, because it's evident that Pence destroyed her, but Trump lost. So something happens between debates. Or voters depending on debates, or voters depending upon, man, what's going on at the kitchen table?
Even the way that he, like, when presented with the question about whether he thought the 2020 election was legitimate, even the way that he responded to that was just trash. You know what? Sometimes I sit down and I say, like, are these really the presidential candidates? Like, these are the people that we're selecting to run our country? Do you know how many regular people I know just in real life that have people I'm talking to on the panel right now that have more acumen, a wider range of knowledge, and a far superior ability to articulate perspective. And these are the people that were like, it's crazy. Like, we definitely don't live in a meritocratic society. That's clear. We live in a society that is driven by two things: capital, how much capital you have, the amount of money you have, and relationships. That's what it's driven by: how much money you have and the relationships you have. Because Donald Trump just did horrible.
Yeah, he did.
Horrible.
I got my bro coming on.
Like,
what's up, Sunny?
I reached out to my friend that I was telling you guys about. This is somebody who doesn't pay attention to voting. This is somebody who doesn't participate. If he is still voting for Donald Trump after being completely undecided, and he is able to articulate, bro, he did bad. He was texting me. He was like, yo, Trump is getting his ass handed to him. Oh my God, what is happening? But he said Kamala Harris is no better. So I asked him, does Trump still have your vote? Absolutely. There is no other option. There's not. The emotional appeal is people not being able to afford life. That's it. I had high expectations for Trump. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he was gonna come in and dog walk her. I thought she was gonna do horrible. But she was clearly prepared, and he came unprepared. She was able to trigger the living shit out of this man.
Yep.
And she told him. And she told him she was going to do that too. She told him.
Facts. Hey,
God
damn.
damn.
This is the first source that I found. I know it's not showing up on the screen. Oh, there it is. It's Reuters. Understanding Independence. It just came out on April 11th. But it's I gotta go get my daughter. But it talks about who comprises the nonpartisan electorate. And interestingly enough, I didn't even expect this, but according to this poll, of the total independent voter base, 26% are Generation Z. So I found that interesting, right? 36% are millennial, and then the rest are Generation X and above. 21% Gen X, 16% Boomers, 2% Silent Generation. 70% of independent voters do not have a college degree. Yeah, she going ham in the back. I'm about to go.
She mad.
Yeah, she mad. 70% do not have a college degree. So that's interesting because that kind of lends towards the discussion about the economic pain that they're feeling. And if they're not college educated, that means they're probably not heavily inundated with liberal philosophy. And so maybe they may be more driven to make a decision based on economic condition.
Most people are going to do that. That's how Trump's going to win this election. He didn't perform tonight, and when I was going to go get my food, right, I had heard all the she's appealing to emotion. She's appealing to emotion. This is for emotional voters. When I'm listening to people who support Trump express frustrations, you know what I hear? Emotion.
Yeah.
No one is considering the fact that this is a terrible economy. People are paying high gas prices. You don't think someone who is not like us is smart enough to say, I can't afford life. I may not like the dude, but look, it's better than what we got now.
Yeah.
I think that 2016 was a testament of people saying, fuck it. I can't afford life. They didn't vote for Hillary. They went out and voted for the guy who got on the stage and was talking out the side of his neck. I'm going to lock you up. I'm going to lock you up. You're over here doing corruption. He didn't get on the stage and have this amazing speech for the American people. He just got on the stage and said, look, this is what I could do for you. And this is what I want to try.
Well, we never saw that before. We were ready.
That was the point that I was saying. We never seen that before. But he didn't get on a stage and debate like a whole professional. He got on a stage and talked like Trump. He told black people, you've been losing. You are voting for the same party over and over and over. And what have they provided for you? That grabbed my attention. And I was 100% an emotional voter. This is before I was even full blown conservative. I told you, me and my husband, bro, we used to have battles.
It's Guru Mitch. It's Guru Mitch.
Who knows?
That his articulation looks real familiar. Real familiar.
Oh,
real familiar.
Oh, Lord.
You look real familiar, but anyways, I agree with Suni. I agree with Suni. Here we go. I agree with Suni, so to speak. We're going to see. We're going to see. I will just say this here. Yes, Trump got his behind handed to him. He's never been a good orator at all, period. But at the exact same time, it's just like James Carville, the Raging Cajun. And it's just like Karl Rove. These are two old established individuals on both sides. They all said it's the economy, stupid. So people have to make a decision. Am I going to vote Orange Man bad? Or damn it, I can't afford to live. Which one am I going to vote for?
So I wanted to address something Susu said when she was coming back. I agree with your initial points, but when DT first came on the scene, polarizing, we never heard a presidential candidate galvanize people with his rhetoric, if you were for it, against it, right? So it was captivating. Now it's rinse, wash, rinse, repeat. We've already heard the story. It's not going to galvanize any newer people. We can only hope that the people are saying, hey, we're in California, we paying $6 more for gas, and groceries are twice as much. But how many people will bite off their nose, D, in spite of their face, just because they don't like him? And then they see this and go, man, this guy looks like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
That is my greater concern than people going, well, damn, it's killing me to go.
I'm in agreement with what you said. I think that people are more driven by emotions, and they don't operate in fact.
I don't disagree. I agree with that too. But we can't take the facts that what people are experiencing right now is going to trigger their emotions. Donald Trump didn't have to get on the stage and galvanize anybody. He doesn't have to. This administration has done all the debating it needs to do. And I'm only saying this because of constantly talking to independent voters that have no clue who they're voting for. If they left this conversation tonight being undecided, if they left this conversation tonight deciding to vote for Trump after not knowing who to vote for, reading Kamala Harris and Trump policies, why can't that be millions of Americans across the nation? I feel like we're counting people out, and because everybody don't think like us or taking information out with the way we take it in, they're dumb. Dumb voters are going to exist, but guess what? Stupid ass voters vote for Trump. We talk to people on TikTok all day that are voting for Trump and have no fucking clue why.
Yeah,
I just know they're voting for Trump.
I don't think that's my stance. I'm looking at the polls right now. She has about a 2.7% spread across all polls. Right now, obviously, what matters is swing state polls. So, did Donald Trump do an effective job enough tonight, which may have only been his only opportunity to address that constituency, to be able to win them over? Now you may say, well, he didn't have to galvanize them, right? But what I think that you're doing is, I think that if there's a scale, and on one side of the scale is the economy, I think that you're placing a lot of value on the economy. And I would agree with Liddell and you. It's the economy, stupid. Yes, the economy is arguably the most important variable when it comes to making a voting decision. At least it has been historically. But we're also in unprecedented waters. Okay, we all remember what happened on January 6, 2021. That has never happened in American history. We've never had a mainstream media complex that has been weaponized against a political opposition, because this opposition represents a threat not just to what the American elite establishment and the elite want, but the international elite want. So we have a political candidate that is being labeled a dictator, right? That is being labeled a fundamental threat to the existence of democracy. That is being painted as America's fiddler, right? That is coming to not only deprive women of their rights, but to deprive Black people of their rights. I think that you guys are underwhelmingly, if that's even a word. I don't think you guys are really considering the implications of how bad tonight went, because yes, you may have one individual that anecdotally is saying, hey, yeah, there's still no other choice. In my opinion, a person that is saying that there's no other choice but Donald Trump, I'm not going to say that they're not independent, right? I'm going to say that they're already decided. They've already decided that they're voting for Trump. So because if he just watched tonight and it doesn't matter to him, he's still voting Trump, he was already decided. But I'm talking about the individuals that were not decided.
Look at this. This is the person I'm talking about. He don't know nothing about J6. He does not pay attention to politics. I sat this man down at my table. Who you voting for? He's like, bro, I don't know what none of these. Who's running? Here's Agenda 47. Read this. And I'm using an anecdote because he represents multiple people out there. And Trump didn't spring him over.
And Sunni, I'll tell you this here. I'll tell you this here. And I hear both points. I'm going to bring up another anecdotal. Both Deontay as well as said no, brother Jason. And he's from the south side of Chi-Town. I'm talking about.
So what's the importance?
And so I'm sitting there. I said, Jason, you know the hood, bro. What's going on? He said, Dale, real talk, man. Everybody talk about it in the hood, man. The south side, they vote for Trump. I said, why? I said, why? He said, it's the economy.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Said, period. I said, what? He said, Dale, the hood is for Trump. He said, the hood is for Trump, Dale.
People feeling the shit in their pockets, bro. That's emotions.
I was like, what? He was like, yeah man.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how voting based that is. And especially considering that Black people historically they under participate in elections. So sentiment is different than activity. They may be expressing that they're rocking with Trump, but are they actually going to get out there and go vote when it comes the day? Right?
Which is why the polls that you reference that you're looking at right after this debate mean nothing to me, because it's like asking your dude right before he comes, do you love me? Okay, of course he's gonna say yes. And then okay.
Leave it to most.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Leave it to most.
Good God, where is your husband at? Get your wife, big dog.
No, I'm not talking about husband and wife. I'm talking about you dating a dude and you're like, oh, you
no
love me. Of course he's gonna say whatever you want him to say. Right before. Come on now. I'm keeping it real. Listen, who we need to really be concerned about.
We need them
who we really need to be concerned about are white women. Because if y'all haven't seen, everybody's freaking out because Taylor Swift has told the Swifties, okay, she endorses Kamala. Trump just lost every white woman on this planet. Okay, the Swifties are
all I'm saying is look at the swing states. Look at where Trump is leading. Trump doesn't need 20% of the Black vote. Trump could kind of come away with cracking 5% and snatching that away from Democrats. He could crack an additional 5% and snatch that away from Democrats, and he could win the election. He's not going to win in a landslide. That is never going to happen.
Hey, that's Mitch for sure.
Yeah, see, even Mitch would do it.
That's Mitch. That's Mitch. Who's Mitch? That's Mitch. That's Mitch. What did do, Mitch? Mitch, babe.
That's Mitch.
I don't know if that's it. I've been looking at the wording. I don't know if that's him.
I don't even know. Who gives a shit? Why are you in my live anyway?
Oh, Soon you don't care. Okay. Everybody can come to the live. Come on now.
Okay.
I'm saying, who cares if Mitch is here? I don't.
We ain't bringing him up. That's for damn sure. But
hey, man.
Yeah, I
was emotional. Okay, we're all a little bothered by the way he performed, and we're all expressing that emotion. Man, Trump is about to lose. I just don't see that. I think whether people are as smart as I am and understanding legislation, what they do know is that they're broke as shit. And when my sister, who don't pay attention to politics at all, hit, bro, I'm voting for Trump because he looked out on them stamps. That's all I needed to hear.
But for the people who don't watch any of the stuff, read endless amounts of policy like the four of you guys all day long, like Seuss, like ain't got nothing else to do. This is the moment that they all wait for, dude.
They didn't watch
They
this.
don't pay attention to anything else. That everybody turn on that damn TV tonight. People that don't know anything about voting.
I'm gonna look at the ratings tomorrow.
I don't know anything about these. I don't know anything about either one of these, but I saw one dude get his ass creamed.
They don't gotta watch it. It's going to be all over social media. It's already all over social media right now. It's all over Twitter. It's all over Instagram. It's going to be all over Facebook. It's all over TikTok.
He got dog walked.
Donald Trump just gave them all of the ammunition they need to run news segments for the next 30 days, destroying this man's character. They can paint him as a misogynist.
But they're already doing it already. They've been doing it already, though.
All they're
doing it already.
Continue doing what they've done. They're not doing
and it's effective. Have y'all not seen? Okay, listen.
Bro,
the fact that this is even a competition. We live in America where there's literally a competition between Kamala Harris, who's been VP to arguably the worst president post-World War II, and Donald Trump, who ran arguably the greatest American economy post-World War II, outside of maybe Reagan's 80 through 89 era. And yeah, I don't know. And listen, I'm voting for Trump. And maybe right now I sound a little antagonistic or antithetical and I'm doing a poor job being a Trump propagandist. But I'm very bothered. I'm very disappointed. I wish JD Vance was running for president. I wish Vivek Ramaswamy was like those gentlemen would have been able to blow Kamala Harris out the water by miles. It wouldn't even have been a discussion. Put Vivek Ramaswamy next to Kamala Harris and she's gonna stutter. She's gonna stutter because he's going to get in her ass. Pause. He is literally going. Well, excuse me.
Listen to this. Frank Luntz, who is a avid partisan leftist, This is what he said concerning Kamala Harris. Harris smiling when talking about Trump being prosecuted is a bad look. She's feeding into the narrative that it's all a partisan witch hunt. This is an avid leftist. Avid.
I'm telling you, bro. People
are
emotional, but they're more emotional about their paychecks, man. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm gonna remain. I can be realistic and optimistic at the same time, but we also have to pay attention to trends. This is
Adam Taggart. What? This is an economics guy. It's a financial guy. He runs a podcast called Thoughtful Money. If you don't watch Adam Taggart and you're into finance, you gotta get on Adam Taggart. But he conducted a poll. Whom do you think won tonight's presidential debate? 2,976 participants. So I mean that's not large, but it's still worthy of consideration. 42% said Harris, 58% said Trump. Interesting.
She didn't do enough. She appealed. She appealed to the people who are already going to vote for her. She lied multiple times. I pulled up 10 different fact checks.
Rachel Scott on ABC. Rachel Scott on ABC said this here. Said Kamala Harris did not do a good job explaining her policy shifts. This is on ABC.
She just appealed to emotions.
Rachel Scott.
This was Gavin Newsom and DeSantis all over again. Do y'all remember that debate?
Yes.
Who won that debate based on feelings? Gavin won because he sat up there and he spewed the same talking points over and over and over again.
Yeah. Right. But what I think what me and Seth are saying,
I get what y'all are saying,
is that the independent, undecided voter has been heavily inundated with propaganda. And if they have to weigh on the scale economy versus the possibility of democracy ending, I think that they're going to vote for the possibility of democracy ending. Because how many times have we had discussions with people who are quote unquote liberals that say things like, oh, well, the entire world is dealing with inflation. America has had the best economic recovery of
those are liberals.
Right, but independent voters, 26% of the independent voting base is Gen Z. 26%. Do you think that Gen Z is not liberal?
I never said that, but we're pretending like Trump needs all 26%.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Donald Trump has to win swing states.
He's already winning in swing states. Look at the polls.
He's not winning in polls right now in swing states.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let me double check.
The exit polls from the primaries. They disprove what you're saying. He gained in every single category amongst Democrat and independent voters against Nikki Haley.
Yeah, no. So I think you may be right. So Arizona right now, Trump leads by 2%. Nope. Minnesota, Harris.
That's not a swing state.
How about Nevada?
Nevada is 47-47. Pennsylvania, Harris leads by 0.8%. Wisconsin, Harris leads by 3.4%. Ohio, swing state?
Ohio's a swing state.
Oh, yep. Trump winning by 9%.
Georgia, that's a swing state.
Georgia, Trump is winning by 1.3%.
Michigan, that's a swing state.
Harris is leading by 2.6%. So Georgia, Trump, Arizona, Trump, Michigan, Harris, Wisconsin, Harris, Nevada, Harris by 0.4%. Pennsylvania, where's Pennsylvania? Harris is winning.
They say it's a swing state, but it's really not. It's always decided blue.
Well, right now she's only winning by 0.8%. That's the average of the last 5 polls. I'm on 270 to win. So nevertheless, it's extremely close in swing states.
It's not going to be a landslide. That's what it's going to be close. It's
right, but it wasn't
going to win by a small margin.
But it wasn't a landslide in 2020. And look what happened.
Nobody ever expected that. I expected it to be close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
I don't know. I mean, I've been hearing our side say that we need to win in a landslide.
No, we don't. They don't know what the fuck they talking about, bro. We do not need to win in a landslide. He needs to win the key states, and he's good. He can pick up a few extras, but he needs to win those key swing states, and he's gained. If you look at the primary exit polls, he has gained. I'm not saying large margins, but we don't need large margins. All you have to do is chip away at Democrat support. And RFK is helping that. Tulsi Gabbard is helping that. What is his name? Dershowitz? I can never pronounce his last name. Democrats, they're leaving. You don't think the American voters are paying attention to that? Dang, why are these people leaving?
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that informed voters, I think that people that are actually invested in American politics are like, oh my goodness, Alan Dershowitz is leaving the Democrat Party. Jimmy Dore has left the Democrat Party. What's his name? Gregory Sachs has left the Democrat Party. Joe Rogan is no longer a liberal. Like, yeah, people that are informed and invested in politics, that are attentive, yes, they care. Nobody knows. If the average American on the street has no idea who Alan Dershowitz is and couldn't care whether he was voting Democrat or not, just like they didn't care when Alan Dershowitz came out and said, yeah, this is the most phony, non-credible, series of charges that are being brought against Trump. This is the weaponization of the justice system, and I want to be able to vote against him. I don't want you guys to try to remove him from the ballot. I don't know. Maybe, you know what it is? Maybe I'm pessimistic and I just truly am concerned about the power of the media. This is what Ben Carson said. Ben Carson literally, he told Tucker, I'm sure you guys have seen the clip. What we're about to watch, he said this about a month and a half ago. What we are about to watch is the power of the media. The media is going to make this woman look like a god. And he just amplified that. He just aided her campaign.
I don't think he did. The media has been around. The media has been doing this since 2015.
Guys,
beyond. They have not stopped.
Look at these. Look at the viewers. Look at the viewers. The most viewers on the live stream was on PBS. It's 525,000. Dan Bongino was number 2 at 299,000. He was actually at 310,000. MSNBC 228K, Fox 215K, C-SPAN 201, CNN 199, Stephen Crowder 181,000, Wall Street Journal 152K, Debate News 148, CBS 141. I would probably say all of these are well-informed voters. All of these are. So who is watching this? Well-informed voters. Well-informed. Ain't nobody that's not worried about politics watching this. They think it's boring.
And listen, bro. Somebody brought up Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas. You know what kind of flags I see around? Trump. Okay. I took a picture. Matter of fact, I'm about to send this picture to myself. You can see this RV. Trumped out. I was shocked to see so much support for this dude in this city, this decrepit, evil, sinful city. Oh, I don't think I can get it on this computer. Dang, I can't. I'll send it to you, Mo, so you can see it. But they care how Rogan voted. They listen. You got Russell Brand. You got what's his name? Joe Rogan. You got Carlson. You have he used to be a Democrat. He's a celebrity. The Rock just sat on the stage and condemned the crap out of Biden. I don't know if y'all saw that.
I mean, you actually
stupid voters pay attention. We talk about this all the time. Stupid voters basing their votes based on what celebrities say. Why does it all of a sudden change when they come out and they support Trump? Why aren't those people going to follow suit? They follow suit when Taylor Swift says, "Hey," we just seen it.
Yeah,
Taraji P. Henson sat on the stage and demonized Project 2025, and a bunch of people came out and said Project 2025 was bad.
Damn. Megyn Kelly is saying, she's saying it was a 3-1. She unloads on the ABC moderators for biased debate performance, and she is not a 45. she is not a code 45 at all. Megyn Kelly,
yeah, she's a hardcore Republican. It doesn't matter.
But the thing about it is
she wouldn't vote for Harris if her life depended on it.
But she's been very clear about the reason why. It was her policies.
No, she wouldn't vote. She wouldn't vote for Democrats, period.
Actually, yes, she would. She actually agreed with a lot of what RFK actually said. She's been on camera saying that.
RFK Jr. is not a Democrat.
I think women are going to be the ones.
Who's that? Women will win. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see how powerful.
There's a whole Democrat in the comment section agreeing with everything.
Was that in the movie Menace to Society when dude got beat up on the couch and they kept telling him, "Can't whoop your ass." Kamala whoop your ass tonight.
Well, y'all,
sure, he got his ass handed to him.
I'm finna sign off. I gotta pray with my kids, guys. Thank you, guys. God bless you. And I'm hungry too. I'm hungry as hell. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one, guys. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
And you say, "You got your ass whooped tonight."
That boy got his ass whooped tonight, dog. Sure did. It was a dog walk.
That girl
Yes,
was
she
good.
did.
Good.
You were real good that night, y'all. See, boy. But all right, y'all. God bless you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
She's losing men's, but stop it.
Kamala is only winning by small margins in 3 swing states. Trump has the rest of them.
So didn't they up the count of swing states to 10?
What do you mean?
Because I thought there were 7 swing states before, but I could have sworn that I seen something, some source somewhere that
There are only 7.
Yeah, no, it's Nevada, AZ, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina.
You say Ohio?
Oh, right. There's Ohio. Ohio's a swing state too. No, I think Ohio's been voting red for a while.
Ohio's pretty red.
Yeah.
Arizona.
If she was winning by
right?
4,
the last
if she was
election.
winning by 4%, if there was a margin of between 4 and 5%, I would be worried. But these are polls of her having a high. To me, this was she appealed to emotions. It frustrated people because Trump didn't have a proper response to anything she was throwing at him.
But
he remained emotional.
But I think
her performance was lackluster.
But I think that like I don't know. For me, the fact that the woman has even garnered that much support, it lets me know the pedigree, the prevalence of stupidity in our society. The woman she is in close proximity to Donald Trump. She's in some swing states, she's winning. We're talking about a woman that was coronated. She was not even democratically selected.
But you're expecting Democrat voters to abandon their party. They're not going to do that.
Right. Which shows the prevalence of stupidity in our society.
Amongst Democrats, but where does she rank in moderates and independents?
Again, if 26% of independents are Gen Z, it depends on it depends on how present they are on election day.
I don't even believe it's that much.
You out say it? All right, man.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Love all 3 of y'all. Thanks for having me.
You too, brother.
Hey, the boy got his ass kicked tonight.
Yeah, that boy did get his ass kicked.
If Republicans had a normal candidate, y'all wouldn't have to worry about her rise. She does not have a rise. Are we?
Where are you reading these comments at? I don't see that.
And right here it says under Guru. If Republicans had a normal candidate, y'all would.
On actual YouTube.
It's probably on another channel.
You see it now?
We're streaming in multiple channels.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
She doesn't have a rise. This is a an inflated sense, an inflated how do I want to say it? I'm trying to use words, but I don't think people are going to understand what I'm saying. This is a fake injected sense of popularity for Kamala. She was horrible in 2016. She was horrible in 2020. She polled less than 1%. The only reason that people are paying attention to her is because they have no other option. The Democrats did not give their voters an opportunity to choose who they wanted. They're stuck with Kamala. Why are they going to abandon the party now when they feel, just like you said, Deontay, democracy is being threatened? You're expecting those people to leave. They're not going nowhere. They're not.
Yeah.
I don't expect a landslide victory. I expect a slither.
You know what? You know what? Unfortunately, if he was a better orator, it would be a landslide victory. If he was more prepared for the debates and he wasn't so pompous and abrasive and egotistical, he would win. He would win the debates with a landslide, right?
100%. I agree with you.
He literally should have like an itinerary almost just mapped out in his mind and he should intentionally, if there's another debate, like do not allow them to redirect you from any of your talking points. Like intentionally ignore him. I mean, ignore him, right? Hey, you know what? I appreciate that perspective. I think it's a bit of a departure from the things that the American people are really concerned about. Can we focus on blah, 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 right? Like, but Donald Trump's too egotistical to do that.
I agree.
You know, I witnessed a narcissist, a man that was literally incapable of, everything was injurious. He took everything, like, it's like every arrow hit that man. Every time she pulled the arrow and shot it, hit him. And he couldn't do anything but demonstrate his pain.
Yeah.
He didn't have a poker face. He looked mad. He had that old man angry face. Just in the camera looking mad. And then kept looking up, looking like, damn it, how much more time we got? Because I'm thinking he's looking at the timer. There's probably some timer that he's looking at. Yeah, you know what it is? I'm just disappointed, and I'm venting.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Look, this is Kamala Harris is bringing back Biden's administration. She's bringing back Biden policies. America already cannot stand his policies. 30% of the country believes we are on the wrong track. He's in the negative, bro.
Wait, negative 30% or 30.9%?
Say that again.
Is it just 30.9% or is it negative? How could it be negative 30% of the country?
It's going in the opposite direction. Is what it is. He's losing support. If it was positive, it would be plus. But nobody thinks he's doing a good job. He sucks.
Yeah, no, I mean the only people that are
these polls. 60%.
Uh-oh.
We lost her.
Should be back. But yeah.
When she comes back, I'm gonna hop off because I gotta take my dogs out.
It kicks me out.
Suni.
You gotta go take your dogs out at 11. Oh, take them out like in the backyard to use the bathroom.
Yeah, well, I walk them out front, but yeah, I take them out.
Oh, you know, you gotta keep the strap on you. It's too late.
I do. Maui's just here to advocate for all the dogs that are being eaten. She's voting Trump all the way.
I was so mad he said that dumb shit. I was so mad. I'm like, you did not just say they're eating animals.
On ABC of all places. It's not like you on Fox. Like, bro, you are on ABC News. Like, no. Donald Trump gave me low IQ vibes. I'm gonna be honest.
All right, y'all.
See you, bro. I'm about to wrap up, but I just want to show you these polls, man. 54% of Americans disapprove of Biden's job. Every poll has been at least over 50%. There's only one poll, which is the USA Today, where he had it was a 1% difference. 60% believe that the country's going in the wrong direction. 29% believe it's going in the right direction. I don't think they're going to go out and vote for Kamala. I just don't.
I hope you're right.
2016 and 2020. Did you watch her debate?
Yeah. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I'm hoping for the best. I'm preparing
for the best and prepare for the worst.
Preparing for the worst.
That's all we can do, for real.
I mean,
I'm just saying we're
reality
frustrated.
Yeah, I think
Trump's performance.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: if we have a gridlock Congress, they're not really going to be able to get much passed anyway.
I agree.
And depending on who now, however, if it's a very close split like we have currently, if the numbers in the House and the Senate pretty much remain identical, but let's say there's a swap of party in one chamber, or let's even just say both chambers flip, so the House becomes Democrat ran and Senate becomes Republican ran. I mean, Walz is going to be able to preside over Senate and be that tie-breaking vote because they've been able to get a lot of their their major omnibus bills, the Inflation Reduction Act and the American Rescue Plan.
She's been a tiebreaker.
They were able to get those passed, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that even half of so it was a 50-50 or it's a what is it 50-50 and then she has to come in 50-50 and she
50-50 split.
Yeah. So every Republican voted against it and every Democrat voted for it.
Yep.
Yeah. They're going to have radical policies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They want to ban assault weapons. She's going to stop fracking. They're going to continue with the same regulatory regime that they have intact now. They're going to intensify regulation. Doomberg is somebody that people should watch. Doomberg it's an anonymous group of consultants in the commodities and energy sector who are very credible and considered some of the best pundits when it comes to commodities and energy. And just pretty much simplified what Doomberg said today in an interview with David Lynn is that if Trump wins, lower inflation, lower prices, higher growth. If Kamala wins, higher inflation, higher prices, lower growth, more government, and the inefficiencies that come with that. So
yeah,
I just hope that the people make a decision based on economics. If they make a decision based on the economy, Donald Trump's going to win the election.
Yeah.
But then I also take into consideration, right, like are elections legitimate?
I think they are when people go out and vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people get out and vote, the way I think they will, then you will absolutely have a Trump victory. And I think I'm not basing everything off the polls, right? Because polls can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that every single poll you look at is trending in a negative direction for this current administration,
right,
I think is indicative of how Americans are going to vote. I just do. I don't think there will be another Republican in office for a long time after Trump. That's for sure. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think that's where I have a bit of a different opinion. I think if Trump wins this election, it creates a foundation. It provides a platform to the Republican Party and to other figures within the Republican movement.
But don't you think if he doesn't have Congress to pass any of the initiatives, he's going to have a lame duck presidency?
Well, he's going to use the power of the executive order for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to use that executive order power because remember he presides over the executive branch of government.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to rely on legislative process to dictate to the executive branch of government what they are to do.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying.
And the regulatory agencies have to do what he says, not what Congress says.
So he could pretty much have an executive order presidency. There could be another Republican that could come into office. They'll flip the House and the Senate and then continue Trump policies.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If his executive orders yield positive economic results and the country takes a turn in a positive direction, then that galvanizes the undecided voter who may have been on the fence with this current election to say, oh yeah, I definitely have to. If the next Republican candidate is going to continue in the stead of Trump and is going to duplicate his policy approach, oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if depending on Trump's health, when he at the end of this next presidency, if he's still in good medical shape or just good bill of health, and he could act as like an advisor to the following Republican presidential candidate.
Yeah.
I think
that's going to happen because you know the Trump family has taken over the GOP.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. I see your point, and I agree with you, man. But there's just a slither of hope that I have for the moderates and independents.
Yeah, I hope that. I hope that because I mean, our mainstream media is
It's deadly.
It is sinister how good they are at propaganda, right? Like we're like they're better than the Soviet Union and Germany.
Schmittler, yeah.
They're better because
I don't disagree with you.
their ability to disseminate information is instantaneous, and when it comes to psychological tact, like they've been able to study the human mind so much more effectively now, right? And to such a like to such a larger extent that they really understand how to manipulate human emotion. They know how to manipulate human emotion, and I think tonight he did so bad.
He did bad.
He did so bad. Like even when he says things like Viktor Orban is a strong man. What, bro? Do you know what that? Do you know how people process that rhetoric? Like that is dangerous diction. You should not be. You should disassociate yourself with the word strong man for the rest of this campaign. Don't say it anymore because people think you're a strong man. People think strong man is synonymous with dictator. And when you're sitting here giving props and bravos and congratulations and placing strong man on a pedestal, yeah, you're a damn fool. You're a damn fool.
Okay, so let's bet it up on this tonight. When we get up, because you know we're gonna hit up TikTok. I want to see.
I don't even want to go to TikTok because I already know what we involve. Hey, them liberals is about to be on one on TikTok. They about to be on one. Like, I'm not even going in there with my normal demeanor or composure.
Okay, let's look at the polls then. Let's look at the polls for this entire week. And then we can come reconvene. I just want to see where the polls are. I want to if you're right. And she performed the way everyone on the left is going to say she performed, which is strong. These polls should flip. She should be winning in all 4 of those swing states by large margins. Deontay, you will be good because you're objective. Everybody here is giving an objective opinion.
Who said that?
Guru. Y'all think it's Mitch?
No, that ain't Mitch. That definitely ain't Mitch.
We're all being objective. I just have a little more hope. I think Trump he performed like dog shit. She beat him. In the eyes of the average American voter who's emotional, she beat the crap out of him.
And see, this is what I'm like Twitter. It's Americans are so politically polarized that I don't expect to get any objective responses or commentary on Twitter. Like the only people that I'm interested in having discussions with are independents, but they are the most politically silent demographic. Yeah. They're not outward in their expression when it comes to their political views. They're very laid back. They are conservative when it comes to or rather they're very reserved. They're not conservative. They're very reserved when it comes to expressing their political opinion. And so yeah, I don't know. You know, it's like, man, Donald Trump said, I thought that was my best debate ever, especially since it was 3-on-1. Yeah, like the dude is an egomaniac. And
he's egotistical.
Oh my God, Trump
is a full-blown narcissist. And she exploited that tonight. She did.
That was like some real that was some bro.
Hey, look.
I
was wrong. I thought he was going to come and dog walk her. I was wrong. I can fully admit that. I thought he was going to beat the brakes off her. I thought he was going to come in cool. I thought he was going to talk about his
Trump does not know
policies.
Trump doesn't know how to be magnanimous. Like like you're so fucking petty, bro. You are the former president of the United States. Did you forget that? You are the former president. You're not behaving like a president. You just made everybody in NATO certain about supporting Kamala Harris. You just made all of the liberal elite certain about, like, anybody that was on the fence that is somebody.
I think so. We'll see.
Not anybody.
I'm just gonna watch TV and see what happens.
Oh, I'm not watching no TV. Definitely not. I'm gonna watch TikTok and Twitter. I'm gonna watch Twitter and then TikTok and then Instagram. Like I already know when I open up my Instagram in a minute, it's about to be Shade Room, Baller Alert. You know, black people for sure. Like now, black people like us, we're gonna be like, we're gonna be like, yeah, Trump did terrible, but we're still voting for Trump.
Yeah, for sure.
But the black people that was already Team Harris, oh, they're fired up.
Yeah, they're gonna be.
They're on 10.
They're already live wires right now. It's 9 o'clock. I know it's midnight for y'all on the East Coast.
I'm in Central Standard, but yeah, point taken.
Look, we'll see what happens. I'm just gonna watch the people. Look at the social trends. Right now, cooked. If you type in #cooked on X, that's trending. I think that's a hashtag people should follow. Just follow all the political hashtags and look and see where the temperature is. Just check it out.
Cooked. Right, of course, this is a right-wing hashtag. That's what this is. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta put out the propaganda, man.
Hey, no, but not red pill. Not red pill on here looking like, look, red pill is hella funny.
Oh, snap.
Red pill got 1,000 followers on Twitter. Damn.
Yeah, Red Pill is active in Cali. She got a big voice out there, especially within the GOP, the California GOP. But we can chop it up. I gotta end the show. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I hope you enjoyed watching us react to Trump taking a full-blown beating tonight. He didn't perform like I thought he was going to perform, and I can admit when I'm wrong. I was so wrong, and I am so disappointed because this man got his ass handed to him. But make sure you guys, I don't know if we're going to be back on Friday, so just pay attention to our social medias so you can see when we'll be live again and back for our regular, I can't believe you just said that, our regularly scheduled program. She does not believe in Q. Get off my live. Whoever you are, you're spreading lies. Don't do that. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'm out.
So when you're done getting high.